All right, good evening, USA, International, Canada, Long Island, aka Strong Island, plus the five spots of Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan, Staten Island, Queens. This is your man G Money Stacks, aka the Gregonator, YouTuber, host with the most, misunderstood lonely nomad, unstoppable independent podcaster, and rookie podcaster of Laurelton, Queens, New York. And you're rocking and hanging out with the 103rd episode with me on Meticulous Vibe Juice podcast review show, live and direct from StreamYard alongside with YouTube. And aside myself, next to me is the Instagram live feed of the podcast show page. Make sure you turn your notifications and follow that page as well. And be on the lookout on when each episode is going to be dropping. So, and speaking of which, you can go to the YouTube channel Meticulous Vibe Juice Podcast YouTube channel page to grab that subscribe button for me and tap the noti bell so you can be reminded when the show goes in the air via live stream, alongside with leaving a like and a comment and the review topics with the episodes. And also stay tuned for more video content, upcoming episodes, and previous episodes in case you missed any of them. Don't worry, everything's all uploaded to every streaming platform that you could think of, which I will review at the end of the show, or where you can listen to the episodes and stuff. So, and in the meantime, make sure you also download these episodes, share the episodes, share the videos. Make sure you listen, stream, watch the episodes as well, and I'll handle the rest at the end of the show. Today's episode titled Military Time. We're going to be reviewing rated R military movies, all right? And the first one we're going to get into in this segment right here is called, hold on a second. It is called the Chillax Man Cave Popcorn Lounge. So let's get into it right here. First military movie that's rated R we're going to be reviewing is The Hurtlocker. Yes, The Hurtlocker is a 2008 American war thriller film directed by Catherine Bigelow and written by Mark Bow. It stars Jeremy Renner, Anthony Mackie, um, Brian Garotti, Christian Camargo, Ralph Fiennes, David Morse, and Guy Pearce. The film follows an Iraq War explosive ordnance disposal team who are targeted by insurgents and shows their psychological reactions to the stress of combat. Bowl drew on his experience during embedded access to write the screenplay. Um, yes, and the budget for this movie is what $15 million. So that's not really too bad right there. So that's not too bad right there. The Hurt Locker premiered at the 2008 Venice International Film Festival before it was released in the United States on June 26, 2009 by Summit Entertainment. The film earned acclaim from critics who praised Bigelow's directing, Renner's performance, Bowles' screenplay, editing, and action sequences. The film was nominated for 9 Academy Awards and won 6, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Original Screenplay. It was the first Best Picture winner to have been directed by a woman. The film grossed $49.2 million worldwide. Yes. In 2020, the film was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. Let's go to the reception. The Hurt Locker received widespread acclaim, with Renner's performance receiving praise from critics. Rotten Tomatoes gives the film an approval rating of 97% based on 289 reviews, with a weighted average rating of 8.50 out of 10. It was the second highest rated film of 2009 behind Pixar's Up. The critics' consensus reads, in quote, a well acted, intensely shot action film war epic. Catherine Bigelow's The Hurt Locker is thus far the best of the recent dramatizations of the Iraq War. Metacritic, which assigns a normalized score, gave the film an average score of 95 out of 100 based on 37 critics, indicating universal acclaim. Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times rated the film as the best of 2009, writing, The Hurt Locker is a great film, an intelligent film, a film shot clearly so that we know exactly who everybody is and where they are and what they are doing and why. He applauded how the suspense was built, calling the film spellbinding. Ebert considered Renner a leading contender for Academy Awards, writing, in quote, his performance is not built on complex speeches, but on a visceral projection of who this man is and what he feels. He is not a hero in a conventional sense. He eventually ranked it the second best film of the decade, behind the Cinec douche, no, the Cinec Dolch, New York. That's one area I never heard of, folks. So forgive me. Richard Corliss of Time magazine also spoke highly of Renner's performance, calling it a highlight of the film. Corliss wrote, in quote, he's ordinary, pudgy face, quiet, and at first seems to lack the screen charisma to carry a film. That's supposition vanishes in a few minutes as Renner slowly reveals the strength, confidence, and unpredictability of a young Russell Crowe. The merging of actor and character is one of the big things to love about this movie. It's a creepy marvel to watch James in action. He has the cool aplomb, analytical acumen, and attention to detail of a great athlete or a master psychopath, maybe both. Corliss praised the film's steely, calm tone, reflective of its main character. Corliss summarized, The Hurt Locker is a nearly perfect movie about men in war, men at work. Through sturdy imagery and violent action, it says that even hell needs heroes. Really, hell needs heroes. A.O. Scott of the New York Times called The Hurt Locker the best American feature film yet made about the war in Iraq. End quote. You may emerge from the Hurt Locker shaken, exhilarated, and drained, but you will also be thinking the movie is viscerally exciting, adrenaline soaked toward the front, no, toward the force, excuse me, of suspense and surprise, full of explosions and hectic scenes of combat. But it blows a hole in the condescending assumption that such efforts are just empty spectacle of mindless noise. Scott noticed that the film reserved criticism of the war, but wrote of how the director handled the film's limits. Ms. Bigelow, practicing a kind of hyperbolic realism, distills the psychological essence and moral complications of modern warfare into a series of brilliant, agonizing set pieces. He also applauded the convergence of the characters in the film, saying that it focuses on three men who um contrasting temperaments, knit this episodic exploration of peril and bravery into a coherent and satisfying story. Kenneth Turan of the Los Angeles Times wrote that the performances of Renner, Mackie, and Garati would raise their profiles considerably, and said the characters revealed their unlooked for aspects, such as Renner's character being playful with an Iraqi boy. Turin applied a bold, lean, and compelling script and said of Bigelow's direction. Bigelow and her team bring an awesome ferocity to recreating the unhinged mania of bomb removal in an alien, culturally unfathomable atmosphere. Guy Westwell of Sight and Sound wrote that the cinematographer Barry Ackroyd provided sharp handheld coverage and that Paul and Jay Addison's sound design uses the barely perceptible ringing in tinnitus to amp up the tension. Westwell praised the director's skill, end quote. The careful mapping of the subtle differences between each bomb, the play with point of view, and the attenuation of key action sequences lends the film a distinctive quality that can only be attributed to Bigelow's clever, confident direction. Now, before I continue, let me just remind everybody um, who's listening and stuff like that. If you like to make a charitable donation to my Cash App to support this show and other podcast shows that I do, you can make a charitable donation to my Cash App, which is $ G Money Stacks 555. That's $ capital G lowercase MONEY capital S lowercase TACKZ 555. Once again, it's not about breaking the bank. It's all about doing the best you can as a human being on whatever amount of money you decide that you are comfortable with, that you desire will be appreciated. And also, you can give a 5-star rating and review on Podchaser, Podfriend, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify as well. 5-star rating and a review, what you thought about the review topics of music artists, movies, TV shows, and of course, video games as well, and sometimes podcasts. So there you go. Okay. The critic noted the film's different take on the Iraq War, writing that it confronts the fact that men often take great pleasure in war. He concluded, in quote, this unapologetic celebration of a testosterone-fueled lust for war may gal. Yet there is something original and distinctive about the film's willingness to admit that for some men and many moviegoers, war carries an intrinsic dramatic charge. Amy Tobin, a film comic, described The Hurtlocker as a structuralist war movie and a totally immersive, off the charts, high anxiety experience from beginning to end. Tobin praised Aykroyd's um, brilliant cinematography with multiple viewpoints. She said of the film's editing, Bob Morosky and Chris Ennis editing is simply quick and nervous. The rapid changes in POV as they cut from one camera's coverage to another's makes you feel as if you, like the characters, are just no, excuse me, are under threat from all sides. Joe Morgenstern of the Wall Street Journal called it a a first-rate action thriller, a vivid evocation of urban warfare in Iraq and penetrating study of heroism and a showcase of austere technique, terse writing, and a trio of brilliant performances. The Toronto Star critic Peter Howell said, just when you think the Battle of Iraq war dramas has been fought and lost. Along comes one that demands to be seen. If you can sit through the Hurtlocker without your heart nearly pounding through your chest, you must be made of granite. Entertainment Weekly's film critic Lisa Schwartzbaum gave the film the rare A rating, calling it an intense, action driven war pick. A muscular, efficient standout that simultaneously conveys the feeling of combat from within as well as what it looks like on the ground. This ain't no war video game. Derek Ellie of Variety found The Hurt Locker to be gripping as a thriller, but felt that the film was weakened by its fuzzy and hardly original psychology. Ellie wrote that it was unclear to know where the drama lay. These guys get by on old fashioned guts and instincts rather than sissy hardware. Damn. Sissy hardware. Oh, wow. Sissy hardware. Yeah, sissy hardware. Oh shit. But it's not a pure man under stress drama either. The critic also felt that the script showed signs of artificially straining for character depth. Ann Thompson, also writing for Variety, believed The Hurt Locker to be a contender for Best Picture, particularly based on the unique subject matter pursued by a female director and on being an exception to other films about the Iraq War, which had performed poorly. Tara McKelvey from The American Prospect wrote that the film is pro-U.S. Army propaganda. Hold on. Yeah. Yes, pro US Army propaganda. Although it suggests it is anti war with the opening statement, war is a drug, she continues. End quote. You feel empathy for the soldiers when they shoot. And in this way, the full impact of the Iraq War, at least as it was fought in 2004, becomes clear. American soldiers shot at Iraqi civilians, even when, for example, they just happen to be holding a cell phone and standing near an IED, um, which is a bomb explosive. Um, she concludes for all the graphic violence, bloody explosions, and literally human butchery that is shown in the film. The Hurt Locker is one of the most effective recruiting vehicles for the U.S. Army that I have ever seen. John Pilger, journalist and documentation, criticized the film in the New Statements, writing that it offers a vicarious thrill via yet another standard issue psychopath high on violence in somebody else's country, where the deaths of a million people are co-signed to cinematic oblivion. In 2010, the Independent Film and Television Alliance selected the film as one of the 30 most significant independent films of the last 30 years. The Hurt Locker was named the 10th best film of the 21st century so far in 2017 by the New York Times chief film critics A.O. Scott and Manola Dargis. Res- Response among veterans. The film was criticized by some Iraq veterans and embedded reporters for inaccurately portraying wartime conditions. Writing for the Huffington Post, Iraq veteran Kate Holt said that The Hurt Locker is Hollywood's version of the Iraq War and of the soldiers who fight it, and their version is inaccurate. She described the film as being better than a lot of the recent war movies that have been released, but expressed concerns that several errors, among them wrong uniforms, lack of radio communication, or misbehavior of the soldiers, would alienate service members from enjoying the film. Author Brandon Friedman, um, also a combat version a combat veteran of Iraq of excuse me, Afghanistan, excuse me, shared a similar view of Vet Voice. The Hurt Locker is a high tension, well made action movie that will certainly keep most viewers on the edges of their seats. But if you know anything about the Army or about operations or life in Iraq, you'll be so distracted by the nonsensical sequences and plot twists that it will ruin the movie for you. It certainly did for me. Friedman criticized the inaccuracy um, of the film's representation of combat, saying in real life, EOD techs don't conduct dangerous missions as autonomous three-man teams without communications gear. Another thing you'll rarely hear in combat is an EOD E7 suggestion to two or three of his guys that they leave the scene of an explosion in Iraqi city by saying, "Come on, let's split up. We can come. We can cover. Excuse me. We can cover more ground that way." At the blog Army of Dude, infantry man and Iraq veteran Alex Horton noted that the way the team goes about their missions is completely absurd. He still generally enjoyed it, and called it the best Iraq movie to date. Troy Stewart, another combat veteran, wrote on the blog Bowhammer that while the film accurately depicted the scale of bomb violence and the relations between Iraqis and troops, just about everything else wasn't realistic. Stewart went on to say, "I was amazed that a movie so bad could get any kind of accolades from anyone." A review published March 8th, 2010, in the Air Force Times cited overall negative reviews from bomb experts in Iraq attached to the 4th Brigade, 1st Armored Division, quoting a bomb disposal team leader who called the film's portrayal of a bomb expert grossly exaggerated and not appropriate, and describing the lead character as more of a run and gun cowboy type. Exactly the kind of person that we're not looking for. Another bomb disposal team member said that the lead character's swagger would put a whole team at risk. Our team leaders don't have that kind of invincibility complex, and if they do, they aren't allowed to operate. A team's leader first priority is getting his team home in one piece. On the embedded side, former correspondent for the Political and Military Times, Christian Lowe, um, who embedded with U.S. military units each year from 2002 to 2005, explained at Defense Tech, and quote, "Some of the scenes are so disconnected with reality to be almost parody." Former British bomb disposal officer Guy Merritt said James makes us look like hot-headed, irrational adrenaline junkies with no self-discipline. It's immensely disrespectful to the many officers who have lost their lives. On the other hand, Henry Eaglehart, an adjutant with the National Explosive Ordnance Disposal Association, having 20 years experience in bomb defusal, complimented the film's atmosphere and depiction of the difficulties the job, saying, "Of course, no film is realistic in all its details, but the important things were done very well." So, okay, so damn. Let's see. No, I'm not gonna go over the top 10 list. I'm not gonna go over that. Let's go to the accolades. Starting with its initial screening at the 2008 Venice International Film Festival, The Hurt Locker has earned many awards and honors. It also ranked on more film critics' top 10 lists than any other film of 2009. It was nominated in 9 categories at the 82nd Academy Awards and won in six: Best Picture, Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, Best Sound Editing, Best Sound Mixing, and Best Film Editing. It lost the award for Best Actor to Crazy Heart, Best Original Score to Up, and Best Cinematography to Avatar. Bigelow became the first woman to win an Oscar for Best Director. Catherine Bigelow was awarded the Directors Guild of America Award for Outstanding Achievement in Feature Film for the film, being only one of two women to do so, along with Chloe Chloe Zhao for Nomadland. Oh shit. Um, the film won 6 awards at the BAFTAs held on February 21st, 2010, including Best Film and Best Director for Bigelow. The Hurt Locker was nominated for 3 Golden Globe Awards. The Washington, D.C. Area Film Critics Association Award for Best Director was given to Catherine Bigelow, the first time the honor has gone to a woman. The film swept most critics groups awards for Best Director and Best Picture, including Chicago, Boston, and Las Vegas, Los Angeles, New York Film Critics Group Associations. The Hurt Locker is one of only 6 films that have won all 3 major U.S. critics group prizes: L.A., L.A., of course, Los Angeles, New York, and NSFC, together with Goodfellas, Schindler's List, LA Confidential, The Social Network, and Drive My Car, and also the second to win Best Picture after Schindler's List. The 5 awards from the Boston Society of Film Critics were the most by that organization to a single film in the group's 30-year history. In February 2010, the film's producer Nicholas Chartier emailed a group of Academy Award voters in an attempt to sway them to vote for The Hurt Locker instead of a $500 million film, referring to Avatar, for the Best Picture award. He later issued a public apology saying that it was out of line and not in the spirit of the celebration of cinema that this acknowledgement is. The Academy banned him from attending the award ceremony, the first time the Academy has ever banned an individual nominee. Wow. 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 That's crazy, man. And I'm not even gonna really, yeah. So, all right. So, our next military rated R movie is The General's Daughter. Yes. And I remember seeing this bus ad of The General's Daughter with John Travolta's face on there years ago when I was in private school. And for those of you who may not know what The General's Daughter is, so I'll fill you in on what it is. So The General's Daughter is a 1999 American mystery thriller film directed by Simon West from a screenplay co-written by Christopher Bartolini, and William Goldman, based on the novel of the same name by Nelson DeMille. It stars John Travolta, Madeline Stowe, James Cromwell, Timothy Hutton, Clarence Williams III, and James Woods. Oh yeah, the guy that was in Family Guy. That same guy. Wow. That same guy. Wow. Um The plot concerns the mysterious death of the daughter of a prominent army general. The general's daughter received negative reviews from critics, but was a box office success, grossing $149.7 million worldwide against an estimated budget of $60 to $95 million. Wow. How about that? And let's see. So, now we go to the production. The production includes The General's Daughter was directed by Simon West and produced by Mace Newfield. It was an adaptation of the best-selling book of the same name written by Nelson DeMille and was published in 1992. William Goldman did some work on the script. Michael Douglas was originally attached to star. Much of the film was filmed in various locations in and around Savannah, Georgia. A love scene between Travolta and Stoll was cut from the final film. Two key changes were made after test screenings. Travolta's character made a stronger moral stand at the end, and it became clearer at the beginning that he was a military investigator working undercover. Talking about the rape scene, Leslie Stephenson said, "In quote, it was horrible for me, but there was no way to avoid it. I don't want to necessarily ever do it again, but an important message could be brought up by it." Now we go to the reception. Yes, against an estimated budget of $60 to $95 million, The General's Daughter grossed um almost $103 million at the domestic box office, contributing to a worldwide gross of $150 million. Yes, critical response. The General's Daughter garnered generally negative reviews from critics. Review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes has it at a 21% approval rating based on 89 reviews, with an average score of 4.4 out of 10. The website's critical consensus reads, in quote, contrived performances and over the top sequences offer little real drama. Um, on Metacritic, the film has a score of 47 out of 100, based on 24 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews. Audiences surveyed by CinemaScore gave the film a grade B plus on scale of A to F. A to F. Roger Ebert described The General's Daughter as well made and with credible performances, but marred by a death scene that was so unnecessary, graphic, and gruesome that by the end I felt sort of unclean. Janet Maslin of the New York Times commented Travolta for carrying the film with enjoyable ease, and Bartol- Bartolini and Goldman for supplying enough smart, amusing banter and his interactions with Stowe and Woods, but criticized West's direction for utilizing good actors while pumping up the story's gratuitously ugly side with lazy fetishistic touches of its subject matter, concluding that all the movie cares about is the deed itself and the way it was done. Russell Smith of the Austin Chronicle gave praise to the performances of Travolta, Stoll, and Woods, but felt there was a disconnect between the screenwriters and the director when crafting the narrative, concluding that The General's Daughter inspires all kinds of cognitive dissonance, um, with its blend of high mindedness and cheesy titillation. Very odd and very icky. Highly recommend for graduate psychology students and in aberrant sexuality, but others can probably skip sans regret. Rolling Stone's Peter Travers also commented Travolta and Stolz for keeping the viewers attractively distracted with their chemistry and criticized West for sending his supporting cast adrift into deep fried Freudian melodrama melodrama. Okay. Calling it a lurid mess. A sudden gumbo simmering in gothic cliche. Not sure what that means, folks, but don't ask me. Reader Kempley of the Washington Post criticized the film for playing up its critical look at military injustice by indulging in the misogyny of its overall plot, concluding that it doesn't provide a compelling indictment for um, chronism and duplicity within the military. While cover-ups and sex discrimination are continuing problems throughout society, this movie isn't offering any solutions. Um, it's it's having its cheesecake and eating it too. Look, let me say this though. Man. Look, when you are in a process of creating a movie, right? Not everything is going to be not everything is going to be, not everything's going to be real from reality. You know what I'm saying? Now, it's one thing to actually, make a negative criticism, but at the same time, depending on the storyline, you have to understand something. There's some stuff that sometimes you have to there's sometimes that some actors tend to improvise on, certain scenes and certain stuff. Like the movie took place in Savannah, Georgia. Like, come on. Like like you gotta like you have to really understand something too, man. Like, not all movie critics are going to get everything right anyway because of their predictions on whether a movie's going to be good, whether a movie's going to be bad. But um I just feel like sometimes, there's some critics who like to judge things by the cover of the book. And 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 just like what happened when I just reviewed the Hurtlocker not too long ago. I feel the need that they're judging the movie by the cover of the book. And it's the same that goes with The General's Daughter, the rated R movie that we're talking about here. Now I remember watching this movie years ago. When I saw that bus ad for the movie, I was like, it takes time to actually watch the trailer and being able to get a better understanding of what the storyline is. So for me to read the storyline of the synopsis and review it for you folks right here, I think it's I think it's very interesting to actually have more military movies to touch base on certain things that happened over the years. You know what I'm saying? And the Hurt Locker is one of them, and of course the General's Daughter is one of them too, which is military related. And I can say the Hurt Locker and the General's Daughter is it's okay, man. You know what I'm saying? I think the issue with film critics is that they have high expectations on how a film's supposed to be. But you have to remember, folks, film critics, they're not the directors, they're not part of a production team who are producers and all that other stuff. So they don't understand what it's like as far as the process to make a movie like A General's Daughter, rated R movie, The Hurt Locker, and not to mention Men of Honor, which is the next movie we're going to be reviewing next, and not to mention Saving Private Ryan and American Sniper. So, you know what I'm saying? So, overall, man, those two movies that we just just reviewed, The Hurt Locker and The General's Door, they're both okay in my book, man. It doesn't have to. Not every movie has to meet the film critics' high expectations. That's the problem with high expectations, man. You get carried away and you get lost in the tartar sauce. You feel what I'm saying? You have to really really, 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 really relax on the high expectations, man, and let nature take its course, man. You know what I'm saying? So, so there it is, right there, man. So that's just my take on the General's daughter and the Hurtlocker right there, man. Up next is Men of Honor. Yes, Men of Honor is a 2000 American drama film directed by George Tillman Jr. and starring Robert De Niro and Cuba Gooding Jr. The film is inspired by the true story of Master Chief Petty Officer Carl Brashear, and the first African American master diver in the United States Navy. Um, yeah, there you have it. And the casting goes like this: yes, Robert De Niro, Cuba Gooding Jr., Hal Holbrook, David Keith, of course, New York's actor and and most favorite person to express himself on the types of things and opinions, and of course, you know, music, hip hop, and all that other stuff. Of course, Michael Rappaport, who was also featured in one or two Simpsons episodes, actually. And he has a podcast as well, so you can check him out on his podcast as well. I am Rappaport, and of course, other actors include Powers Booth, Ingenue Ellis, and Charlize Theron. The budget was $32 million for the film. Okay. All right. So the film features the classic U.S. Navy Mark V diving equipment used by the Navy from 1915 until 1985. The equipment was custom made by Desco, who manufactured the gear for the Navy with three other makers. The helmets used were actually commercial helmets on the Navy breastplates. Oh shit. This is fucking laughable, man. Allowing greater visibility of the actors. Oh man. Oh my gosh. All right. The divers wore equipment weighing about 200 pounds, which is 91 kilograms. Oh man. So the reception in the film um opened at the third position at the North American box office behind Little Nicky and Charlie's Angels, which was on its second week at the top spot. Man of Honor was met with mixed reviews. It currently has a 42% rating at Rotten Tomatoes, with the consensus stating De Niro and Gooding Jr. managed to turn in performances that make this by the numbers inspirational movie watchable. Roger Ebert gave the film 3 stars out of 4, calling it an old-fashioned biopic, but criticized Theron's appearance in the film, calling it professional but unnecessary to the picture. Hmm. While the film portrays a Wisconsin recruit as the only white recruit to remain in Carl Bashir's bunk, the actual individual was a Brazilian diver named Alberto Jose do Nas Nascimento, who was also dark skinned. Alberto also helped Brashear save a fellow recruit who was trapped underwater during a training exercise. And yes, so all right, so the next movie we're gonna be going into is Saving Private Ryan. That's another bust side I seen actually. Um yes, so Saving Private Ryan is a 1998 American epic war film directed by Steven Spielberg and written by Robert Rodat, set in the Battle of Normandy in World War II. The film is known for its graphic portrayal of war, especially its depiction of the Omaha Beach assault during the Normandy landings. The film follows United States Army Rangers Captain John H. Miller, which is played by Tom Hanks, and his squad: Tom Sizemore, Edward Burns, Barry Pepper, Giovanni Ribisi, Vin Diesel. I didn't even know Vin Diesel was in this movie. Wow. Good to know. Adam Goldberg and Jeremy Davies as they search for a paratrooper, Private First Class James Francis Ryan, played by Matt Damon, the last surviving brother of four. The three other brothers have been killed in action. The film was a co-production between DreamWorks Pictures, Paramount Pictures, Amblin Entertainment, and Mutual Film Company. DreamWorks distributed the film in North America while Paramount released the film internationally. Interesting. And the budget for the movie is $70 million, by the way. Rodat first wrote the script in 1994 after reading about the Nealon brothers, and by 1996, producer Mark Gordon acquired the rights to Rodat's script. After 11 rewrites, Gordon began developing the project at Paramount. Spielberg, who at the time was forming DreamWorks, was eventually hired by Paramount to direct the film, while DreamWorks would co-finance as part of the deal. After the cast went through training supervised by Marine veteran Dale Dye, the film's principal photography started in June 1997 and lasted 2 months. The film's D-Day scenes were shot in Belenesker Beach, Caraclo Strand, Ballynesker, just east of Carrico County, Wexford, Ireland, and used members of the Irish Army Reserve as extras to portray infantry for the D-Day landing. Saving Private Ryan received publicity for its graphic depiction of violence and war, with Steven Spielberg himself expecting the film to receive an NC-17 rating from the Motion Picture Association of America, which is not the case because it's rated R. So on its release, Saving Private Ryan became the second highest grossing film in 1998 worldwide with $485 million, behind Armageddon. The film received critical acclaim from critics and audiences who praised the performances, realism, cinematography, score, screenplay, and Spielberg's direction, topping many film critics' 1998 top 10 lists and winning numerous awards. Saving Private Ryan won 5 Academy Awards, including Spielberg's second Academy Award for Best Director, though it lost the Academy Award for Best Picture to Shakespeare in Love in a controversial Oscars upset. The film solidifies Damon's rising star power and would strengthen the collaborative relationship between Spielberg and Hanks, while the film also helped Diesel launch his career. In the years since its release, Saving Private Ryan has maintained its reputation as one of the greatest and most influential films of the 1990s, one of the greatest war and action films of all time, and one of the greatest films ever made, and some declaring it as Spielberg's best film. Hailed as an influential landmark in the war and action film genres, the film helped depict war and action sequences with a stronger emphasis on realism while helping influence cinematography due to its use of the saturated colors, handheld cameras, and tight angles. It has also been credited for renewing interest in World War II media, particularly World War II themed first person shooter games that became popular in the 2000s. In 2007, the American Film Institute ranked Saving Private Ryan as the 71st greatest American movie in AFI's 100 Years, 100 Movies 10th Anniversary Edition. And in 2014, the film was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. Release and reception we're going to go to, but hold on. Now, yeah, we're not going to get into the whole production actually. Yeah, we're not going to get into the production actually because we already got that far. So, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna go to the release and reception because this is too long of a hectic read. Okay, so Saving Private Ryan was released in 2004, 63 theaters on July 24th, 1998, and grossed $30.5 million on its opening weekend, opening to number one and remained at the top for 4 weeks until Blade topped the film in its fifth week of release. It also became the third R-rated film to reach $200 million at the domestic box office, following Beverly Hills Cop and Terminator 2: Judgment Day. The film grossed $216.5 million in the US and Canada and $268.7 million in other territories, bringing its worldwide total to $485 million. It was the second highest grossing film of 1998 worldwide, finishing behind Armageddon. Box Office Mojo estimates that the film sold over 45.74 million tickets in the United States and Canada. Yeah. Saving Private Ryan received acclaim from critics and audiences. Much of the praise went to Spielberg's directing. The realistic battle scenes, the actors' performances, Williams' score, Kaminsky's cinematography, Khan's editing, and Radot's script. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds an approval rating of 93% based on 143 reviews, with an average rating of 8.70 out of 10. The website's critics' consensus reads, anchored by another winning performance from Tom Hanks, Steven Spielberg's unflinchingly realistic war film virtually redefines the genre. Many critics assigned the film a weighted average score of 91 out of 100 based on 35 critics, indicating universal acclaim. Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of A on an A plus to F scale. Many critics associations, such as New York Film Critics Circle and Los Angeles Film Critics Association, chose, excuse me, Saving Private Ryan as film of the year. Roger Ebert gave it 4 stars out of 4 and called it a powerful experience. Janet Maslin of the New York Times called it the finest war movie of our time. Gene Sisco, Ebert's co-host and critic of Chicago Tribune, said that the film accomplishes something I had been taught was most difficult, making an action film, anti-war film, or at least one that doesn't in some way glorify or lie about combat. On their program at the movies, Sisco and Ebert each named the film as the fourth and third best film of 1998, respectively. Writing for Tom, Richard Schnickel said that was a war film that entirely aware of its genre conventions transcends them as it transcends the simplistic moralities that informed its predecessors to take the high morally haunting ground. Owen Gleiberman of Entertainment Weekly praised the film, saying that Spielberg has captured the hair-trigger instability of modern combat, Kenneth Turin of Los Angeles Times praised the film as well, calling it a powerful and impressive milestone in the realistic depiction of combat. Saving Private Ryan as much an experience we lived through as a film we watched on screen. The film earned some negative reviews from critics. Writing for Chicago Reader, Jonathan Rosenbaum gave the film 2 stars and felt that it was it has a few pretty good action moments, a lot of spilled guts, a few moments of drama that don't seem phony or hollow, some very strained period ambience, and a bit of sentimental morphing that reminds me of Forrest Gump. Andrew Saris of Observer wrote that the film was tediously manipulative despite its Herculean energy. I don't know what tedious manipulative is about, but I digress on that. Anyway, anyway, the film also earned some criticism for ignoring the contributions of several other countries to the D-Day landings in general and at Omaha Beach specifically. The most direct example of the latter is that during the actual landing, the second Rangers dis- disembarked from British ships and were taken to Omaha Beach by Royal Navy landing craft, um, ACAs. The film depicts them as being United States Coast Guard crewed craft ACVPs and LCMs. From an American ship, the USS Thomas Jefferson. The criticism was far from universal, with other critics recognizing the director's intent to make an American film. The film was not released in Malaysia after Spielberg refused to cut the violent scenes. However, the film was finally released there on DVD with an 18 um, SG certificate in 2005. Many World War II veterans stated that the film was the most realistic depiction of combat that they had ever seen. The film was so realistic that some combat veterans of D-Day and Vietnam left theaters rather than finishing finish watching the opening scene depicting the Normandy invasion. Their visits to post-traumatic stress disorder, known as PTSD, counselors rose in after the film's release, and many counselors advised more psychologically vulnerable veterans to avoid watching it. The Department of Veterans Affairs set up a nationwide hotline for veterans who were affected by the film, and less than 2 weeks after the film was released, it had already received over 170 calls. The film has gained criticism from some war veterans. The film and military veteran Oliver Stone has accused the film of promoting the worship of World War II as the Good War and has placed it alongside films such as Gladiator and Black Hawk Down that he believes were well made but may have advertently contributed to Americans' readiness for the 2003 invasion of Iraq. In defense of the film's portrait of warfare, Brian D. Palmer commented the level of violence in something like Saving Private Ryan makes sense because Spielberg is trying to show something about the brutality of what happened. After Richard Todd, who performed The Longest Day and was among the first Allied soldiers to land in Normandy, Operation Tonga, said the film was rubbish, overdone. American academic Paul Fussell, who saw combat in France during World War II, objected to what he described as the way Spielberg Saving Private Ryan after an honest, harrowing 15-minute opening, visualizing details of the unbearable bloody mess at Omaha Beach, generated into a harmless, uncritical, patriotic performance, apparently designed to thrill 12-year-old boys during the summer bad film season. Its genre was pure cowboys and Indians, with the virtuous cowboys, of course, victorious. Historian Jim Eugenio took note that the film was actually 90% fiction and that Tom Hanks knew this, with his goal being to commemorate World War II as the good war and depict the American role in it as crucial. Accolades. The film was nominated for 11 Academy Awards at the 71st annual ceremony, including Best Picture, Best Actor for Tom Hanks, and Best Original Screenplay. The film won 5 of these, including Best Cinematography, Best Sound Effects Editing, Best Film Editing, and Best Director for Spielberg, his second win in that category. After the film lost the Best Picture award to Shakespeare in Love, many film pundits criticized the Academy's decision not to award the film the Best Picture Oscar, and has continued to be considered as one of the biggest snubs in the ceremony's history. Damn. Yeah. In a poll in 2015, Academy members indicated that given a second chance, they would award the Oscar for Best Picture to Saving Private Ryan. As of 2021, it is one of the only 3 films to ever win the PGA, DGA, Golden Globe, and Best Director Oscar, while not winning Best Picture at the Academy Awards, and others being Brokeback Mountain, and La La Land. The film also won the Golden Globes for Best Motion Picture, Drama, and Director, and BAFTA Award for Special Effects and Sound, and the Directors Guild of American Award. And a Grammy Award for Best Film Soundtrack, the Producers Guild of America Golden Laurel Award, and the Saturn Award for Best Action, Adventure, or Thrill Film. Yes, so Academy Awards. So the movie and the nominee, Steven Spielberg, Ian Bryce, Mark Gordon, and Gary Levinson got a nomination for Best Picture. Steven Spielberg won the award for Best Director. Tom Hanks, Robert Rodat got a nomination for Best Actor in a leading role, Best Screenplay written directly for the screen, and of course, Thomas E. Sanders and Lisa Dean got a nomination for Best Art Direction. And Janusz Kaminski and Michael Kahn both won the award for Best Cinematography and Best Film Editing. Lois Burrow, Connor O'Sullivan, and Daniel C. Street Peaky got nominations for Best Makeup, and also John Williams got a nomination for Best Original Dramatic Score. And of course, the list goes on. Gary Rydstrom, Gary Summers, Andy Nelson, and Ron Judkins. Gary Rydstrom and Richard Himes also won for Best Sound Effects Editing, and also this is for the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films. So the Saving Private Ryan won for Best Thriller Film. It also got a nomination for Best Special Effects. The Amanda Awards, Steven Spielberg got a nomination for Best Foreign Film. Michael Kahn won for Best Edited Feature Film for the American Cinema Editors. And the American Society of Cinematographers Janis Kaminsky got a nomination for Outstanding Achievement in Cinematography in Theatrical Theaters. The movie got a nomination for Feature Film for Art Directors Guild. The movie also got nominated for Feature Film, Best Foreign Film. So this is Art Directors Guild Awards of the Japanese Academy. Of course, we go to BAFTA Awards. So this is for Best Film, Best Direction, Best Actor, Best Cinematography, Best Production Design, Best Editing. Yes, so Steven Spielberg, Tom Hanks, Janis Kaminsky, Michael Kahn, and the movie all got nominations. And the movie got an award for Best Sound. John Williams got a nomination for Best Music, and the movie got nominated for Best Makeup and Hair. And Best Special Visual Effects, the film won for Best Visual Effects. John Williams also won. Tom Hanks also won. Of course, this is for the BMI Film Music Award, for BMI Film Music Award. Of course, favorite actor, Blockbuster Entertainment Award. Yeah. Jeremy Davies got a nomination for favorite supporting actor. Boston Society of Film Critics Awards. The movie won for Best Cinematography. British Society of Cinematographers. The movie got a nomination for Best Cinematography. Broadcast Film Critics Association Awards. That's what. Well, yeah. Steven Spielberg, the movie, and John Williams all won for Best Director, Best Picture, and Best Score. Camera Image. The film got a nomination for Best Cinematography. Casting Society of America also won for the so the movie won for Best Casting and Best Picture. Best Picture, that's under, so this is the Casting Society of America. Chicago Film Critics Association Awards. Tom Hanks got a nomination for Best Actor. The movie got a nomination for Best Cinematography. Steven Spielberg got a nomination for Best Director. Cinema Audio Society. The movie won for Best Sound. Zach Lyons. Steven Spielberg got the award for Best Foreign Film. Caesar Awards. Steven Spielberg got a nomination for Best Foreign Film. Dallas Fort Worth Film Critics Association Awards. The movie won for Best Picture. Tom Hanks got a nomination for Best Actor. Directors Guild of America. Steven Spielberg got the award for Outstanding Directorial Achievement. Tom Hanks, Steven Spielberg all got the award for Best Actor, Best Director for the Empire Awards. The movie got a nomination for Best Film. European Film Award, Screen International Award also got a nomination. Yes, Steven Spielberg got a nomination for Screen International Award. Film Critics Circle of Australia Awards. Best Foreign Film, the film got a nomination. And for Florida Film Critics Circle Awards, the film got the award for Best Cinematography and, of course, Best Motion Picture Drama. And Steven Spielberg for the Golden Globes also won that award. Robert Rodat Tom Hanks, John Williams also got got a nomination for Best Screenplay, Best Actor, and Best Original Score. Grammy Awards. John Williams in the movie won for Best Instrumental Composition written for a motion picture or for television, and of course Hua Bayo Film Awards also won for Best Foreign Film. Humanitas Prize, the movie got a nomination for film featuring film category. Wow. Okay, Italian National Syndicate of Film Journalists, Kansas City Film Critics Circle Awards, Key Art Awards, Las Vegas Film Critics Society Awards. Okay, so the list goes like this. So Steven Spielberg won for Best Foreign Director. The movie won for Best Film. Steven Spielberg won for Best Director. Jeremy Davies won. The movie won for Best of Show Audiovisual, Best Cinematography. Steven Spielberg won for Best Director, Best Picture, Best Film of the Year for the movie, and the London Critics Circle Film Awards. Matt Damon, Tom Hanks, Steven Spielberg also got a nomination for Action of the Year, Actor of the Year, and Director of the Year. Los Angeles Film Critics Association Awards. The movie won for Best Cinematography, Best Director. Steven Spielberg won that. The movie won for Best Picture, and the MTV Movie Awards. Tom Hanks got nominated for Best Action Sequence and Best Male Performance, and also the movie got a nomination as well. Motion Picture Sound Editors. The movie got the award for Best Sound Editing Dialogue, Best Sound Editing Sound Effects, and it also got nominated for Best Sound Editing Music. National Board of Review. The movie won the award for Top 10 Films, and that's for National Board of Review. National Society of Film Critics Awards. The movie got the nomination. New York Film Critics Circle Awards. Movie won for Best Film, and of course, Online Film Critics Society Awards. The movie won for Best Film. Steven Spielberg won for Best Director. The movie won for Best Cinematography, Best Ensemble. Tom Hanks got a nomination for Best Actor. Michael Kahn won for Best Film Editing. John Williams got nominated for Best Music. PGA Awards. The movie got the award for Motion Picture Producer of the Year award. Russian Guild of Film Critics. Steven Spielberg got the nomination for Best Foreign Film, and the movie got nominated for Best Film. Steven Spielberg got nominated for Best Director, and this is for the Satellite Awards. Robert Rodat got a nomination for Best Original Screenplay. Tom Sizemore got a nomination for Best Supporting Actor Motion Picture. Michael Kahn won for Best Editing, Best Cinematography. The movie got nominated. John Williams got nominated for Best Original Score. The movie also got Best Visual Effects. And the movie for the Saturn Awards also won for Best Action or Adventure Film. And it also got nominated for Best Special Effects. Screen Actors Guild, Best Assembled Cast, Best Actor Tom Hanks got nominations. The Southeastern Film Critics Association Awards. Won by Steven Spielberg for Best Director. The movie won for Best Picture. Um, Toronto Film Critics Association Awards. Steven Spielberg won for Best Director. The movie won for Best Picture. Um, Tom Hanks and Robert Rodat all got nominations for Best Male Performance, Best Original Screenplay. And yeah, the legacy. Wow. This is crazy. Okay, so today, Saving Private Ryan is widely considered to be one of the greatest films ever made. The film has been frequently lauded as an influential work in the war film genre and is credited with contributing to a resurgence in America's interest in World War II. Old and new films, video games, and novels about the war enjoyed renewed popularity after its release. And I don't know who this is though, man, but whoever it is. But anyway, um, yes. So the film has also been larger. Blah blah. Yeah, I did that. Yes. So the film's use of desaturated colors, handheld cameras, and tight angles has profoundly influenced subsequent films and video games. The American Film Institute has included Saving Private Ryan in many of its lists, ranking it as the 71st greatest American movie in AFI's 100 Years, 100 Movies, of course, 10th anniversary edition, as well as the 45th most thrilling film in AFI's 100 Years, 100 Thrills, the 10th most inspiring in AFI's 100 Years, 100 Cheers, and the eighth best epic film in AFI's 10 top 10. In 2014, the film was selected for preservation in the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress, being deemed culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. Saving Private Ryan was voted as the greatest war film in a 2008 Channel 4 poll of the 100 greatest war films. In a reader's poll for Rolling Stone, it was voted as the 18 best films of the 1990s. Empire named the film as the 39th greatest film of all time. Saving Saving Private Ryan has also received critical acclaim for its realistic portrayal of World War II combat. In particular, the sequence depicting the Omaha beach landings was named the best battle scene of all time by Empire magazine and ranked number one on TV Guide's list of 50 greatest movie moments. Filmmaker Robert Altman Altman, excuse me. Yes, Altman wrote a letter to Spielberg stating Private Ryan was awesome, best I've seen. Filmmaker Quentin Tarantino has expressed admiration for the film and has cited it as an influence on his 2009 film Inglourious Bastards. Prior to making Dunkirk, filmmaker Christopher Nolan consulted with Spielberg on how to portray the war scenes. Let's see. So we have wow. That's crazy, man. And on Veterans Day in 2001, 2002, and 2004, ABC aired the film uncut and with limited commercial interruption. The network airings were given a TVMA rating as the violent battle scenes and the profanity were left intact. The 2004 airing was marred by preemptions in many markets because of the language in the backlash of Super Bowl's halftime show controversy. However, critics and veterans groups such as the American Legion and the Veterans of Foreign Wars assailed those stations and their owners, including Hearst Argyle Television, Sinclair Broadcast Groups, Scripps, Howard Broadcasting, and Young Broadcasting, Liberty Corporation, and Bluestone Television. Below, Cox Enterprises, Citadel Communications, and Media General. The Manship Family and McKinnon Broadcasting, and Papa Telecasting and Tribune Broadcasting, for allegedly putting profits over ahead of programming and honoring World War II soldiers, saying the station made more money running their own programming instead of being paid by the network to carry the film, especially during a sweeps period. A total of 65 ABC affiliates, 28% of the network did not clear the available time slot for the film, even with the Walt Disney Company. ABC's parent offering to pay all their fines for broadcasting the movies, strong language to the Federal Communications Commission. In the end, however, no complaints were lodged against ABC affiliates who showed Private Ryan, perhaps because even conservative watchdogs like the Parents Television Council supported the unedited rebroadcast of the film. Additionally, some ABC affiliates in other markets that were near affected markets, such as Youngstown affiliate WYTV, um, Gainesville affiliate WCJB TV, the networks O&O in Raleigh, Durham, and an affiliate in Myrtle Beach, and the network's affiliates in Hartford and Providence still aired the film and gave those nearby markets the option of viewing the film. TNT and Turner Classic Movies have also broadcast the film. AMC Networks holds broadcast rights to the film as of 2021. Finally, our last movie is American Sniper. Yes, so American Sniper is a 2014 American biographical war drama film directed by Clint Eastwood and written by Jason Hall. It is loosely based on the memoir American Sniper 2012 by Chris Kyle with Scott McEwen and Jim DeFelice. The film follows the life of Kyle, who became the deadliest marksman in U.S. military history with 255 kills from 4 tours in the Iraq War, 160 of which were officially confirmed by the Department of Defense. Although Kyle was celebrated for his military successes, his tours of duty took a heavy toll on his personal and family life. The film was produced by Eastwood, Robert Lorenz, Andrew Lazar, Bradley Cooper, and Peter Morgan. It stars Cooper as Kyle and Sienna Miller as his wife, Taya, with Luke Grimes, Jake McDormand, Corey Hardrick, who you may know from All American Homecoming, which I will review in a future upcoming episode, Kevin Watts, Navid Nagabin, and Keir O'Donnell in supporting roles. Okay. Yes. So the budget for the film was $59 million. The world premiere was on November 11th, 2014 at the American Film Institute Festival, followed by a limited theatrical release in the United States on December 25th, 2014, and a wide release on January 16th, 2015. The film became a major success with a worldwide gross of over $547 million making it the 13th most successful film at the 2014 worldwide box office, the highest grossing war film of all time, unadjusted for inflation, the highest grossing film with a wide release during the month of January, and Eastwood's highest grossing film. The film received positive reviews with praise for Cooper's lead performance and Eastwood's directing. At the 87th Academy Awards, American Sniper received 6 nominations, including Best Picture, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Actor for Cooper, ultimately winning 1 award for Best Sound Editing. Yes. Yeah. So, on May 24th, 2012, it was announced that Warner Brothers had acquired the rights to the book, with Bradley Cooper set to produce and star in the Scream adaptation. Cooper had thought of Chris Pratt to play Kyle, but WB agreed to buy it only if Cooper would star. In September 2012, David O. Russell said he was interested in directing the film. On February 2nd, 2013, Chris Kyle was murdered. On May 2nd, 2013, it was announced that Steven Spielberg would direct. Spielberg had read Kyle's book, though he desired to have a more psychological conflict present in the screenplay. So, an enemy sniper character could serve as the insurgent sharpshooter who was trying to track down and kill Kyle. Spielberg's ideas contributed to the development of a lengthy screenplay approaching 160 pages. Due to WB's budget constraints, Spielberg felt he could not bring his vision of the story to the screen. On August 5th, 2013, Spielberg dropped out of directing. On August 21st, 2013, it was reported that Clint Eastwood would instead direct the film. Casting: on March 14th, 2014, Sienna Miller joined the cast. On March 16th, 2014, Kyle Gallner was cast, as was Corey Hardrick. On March 18th, 2014, on March 20th, 2014, Navid Nagabin, Eric Close, Eric Lawton, Ray Galagos, and Jake McDormand also joined the cast, as did Luke Grimes and Sam Jaeger. On March 25th, 2014, Kevin Locks, a former Navy SEAL, was also cast and served as a technical advisor. Another former Navy SEAL, Joel Lambert, also joined the film, portraying the Delta Sniper. On June 3rd, Max Charles was added to the cast to portray Kyle's son, Colton Kyle. Filming, of course, principal photography began on March 31st, 2014, in Los Angeles. It was also shot in Morocco. On April 23rd, the Los Angeles Times reported that 10 days of filming set in an Afghan village was set to begin at the Blue Cloud Movie Ranch in the Santa Clarita area. On May 7th, shooting of the film was spotted around El Centro. A milk factory was used as the abandoned date factory, which insurgents close in on from all directions at the climax of the film. The pier and bar scenes were filmed in Seal Beach, California. Cinematographer Tom Stern shot the film with Ari Alexa XT digital cameras and Panavision C minus, E minus, and G series anamorphic lenses. The film is Eastwood's second to be shot digitally after Jersey Boys. Well, there is no music by credit on the film. Clint Eastwood, who has composed the scores for most of his films since Mystic River, is credited as the composer of Tyre's theme. Joseph S. DeBC is credited as composer of additional music and as music editor. The film also features the song Someone Like You by Van Morrison, which plays during the wedding scene and the funeral by Ennio Morricone. Okay, reception. American Sniper grossed $350.1 million in North America and $197 million in other territories for a worldwide total of $547.1 million. Against a budget of around $58 million. Calculating in all expenses and revenues, Deadline Hollywood estimated that the film made a profit of $243 million, making it the second most profitable film of 2014, only behind Paramount's Transformers: Age of Extinction. Yeah. Worldwide, it is the highest grossing war film of all time, breaking Saving Private Ryan's record, and Eastwood's highest grossing film to date. It is the seventh R-rated film to gross over $500 million. That's impressive. North America, in North America, it was the highest grossing film of 2014, the highest grossing film unadjusted for inflation, the fourth highest grossing R-rated film of all time. Warner Brothers' fourth highest grossing film, and the eighth highest grossing Best Picture nominee film. It became the seventh Warner Brothers film to earn over $300 million in the US and Canada, and the 50th film to reach the mark. It earned as much as the combined earnings of all of the other 2014 Best Picture nominees. On March 8th, 2015, it surpassed The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1 to become the highest grossing film of 2014, making it the first R-rated film since Saving Private Ryan and 1998, and the first non-franchise film since Avatar top the year-ending rankings. American Sniper premiered at the AFI Fest on November 11, 2014, just after a screening of Selma at Grauman's Egyptian Theater in Los Angeles. In North America, the film opened to a limited release on December 25th, 2014, playing at four theaters, two in New York, one in Los Angeles, and one in Dallas, and earned $610,000 in its opening weekend, which includes $850,000, including Christmas Day, at an average of $152,000, $152,500 per venue, debuting at number 22. Okay, so the following week, the film earned $676,909, playing at the same number of locations at an average of $169,277 per theater, which is the second biggest weekend average ever for a live action movie. Yeah. Which is previously held by 2001's Moulin Rouge, which I didn't really care about. American Sniper holds the record for the most entries in the top 20 top weekend theater averages with 3 entries. It earned a total of $3.4 million from limited release in 3 weekends. Yes, the film began its wide debut across North American theaters on January 16, 2015. It set an all-time highest Thursday night opening record for an R-rated drama with $5.3 million. Yes. The film topped the box office on its opening day, grossing $30.5 million. Yes, from 3,555 theaters, setting January records for both biggest debut opening and single day gross. In its traditional 3-day opening, the film earned $89.2 million, which was double than expected and broke the record for the highest January opening. And the largest winter opening, which is also Eastwood's top opening as a director. Yeah. Yeah. The 3-day opening is also the biggest opening weekend for a drama film. The second biggest debut for a Best Picture Oscar nominee. The second biggest debut for an R-rated film. R-rated film, yes. And the third biggest for a non-comic book, non-fantasy sci-fi film. Yes. It also set an IMAX January opening and single weekend record with $10.6 million and an R-rated IMAX debut record. It earned $107.2 million during its 4-day Martin Luther King weekend, setting a record for the biggest R-rated 4-day gross. In its second weekend, the film expanded to 3,705 theaters, making it the second widest launch for an R-rated movie. It grossed an estimated $64.6 million in its second weekend, declining only by 28%, and set the record for the second best hold ever for a movie opening more than $85 million, and also set the record for the 8th largest second weekend gross. In just 10 days of release, the film surpassed Pearl Harbor, which made $198.5 million to become the second highest grossing war film in North America. By its second weekend, Box Office Mojo had already reported that the film was on poise to become the highest grossing film of 2014 in North America, a record that was at the time held by The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. Judging from its gradual decline and strong holdovers. Yes. Yeah. It became the highest grossing IMAX film of January, $18.8 million from 333 IMAX theaters. On Thursday, January 29, 2015, 35 days after its initial release, the film surpassed Saving Private Ryan, that made $216.5 million to become the highest grossing war film in North America, unadjusted for inflation. By its third weekend of wide release, the film expanded to 3,885 theaters, breaking its own record of being the widest R-rated film ever released. The film topped the box office through its third weekend, earning $30.66 million, which is the second highest Super Bowl weekend gross. After topping the box office for 3 consecutive weekends, the film was overtaken by SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of the Water. The SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of the Water, in its 4th weekend. Jeez, damn. Outside North America, the film had the biggest debut weekend for a Clint Eastwood film and went on to become the director's top grossing film of all time in each of the countries in which it was released. In Italy, the film opened at number two with $7.1 million, Eastwood's best opening of all time, and Warner Brothers' second biggest opening for a non franchise US film there. It went on to top the box office the following weekend as well. Its other largest opening occurred in France, $6.3 million, where it topped the box office for four consecutive weekends. Australia, $4.3 million, $4.6 million, including previews. UK, Ireland, and Malta, $3.8 million. Spain, $3.2 million. Japan, $2.8 million. Mexico, 2.8, no, excuse me, $2.6 million. Brazil, $1.8 million. And South Korea, $1.2 million. In total earnings, its largest market outside of the US are Italy, $23 million, and France, $22.8 million. Critical response on Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds an approval rating of 72% based on 294 reviews with an average rating of 6.90 out of 10. The website's critical consensus states, powered by Clint Eastwood's sure-handed direction and a gripping central performance from Bradley Cooper, American Sniper delivers a tense, vivid tribute to its real-life subject. On Metacritic, the film has a weighted average score of 72 out of 100 based on 48 critics, indicating generally favorable reviews. In Cinema Score polls conducted during the opening weekend, audience gave American Sniper a rare grade of A plus on an A plus to F scale. Tom McCarthy of The Hollywood Reporter called the film a taut, vivid, and sad account of the brief life of the most accomplished marksman in American military annals. Justin Chang of Variety gave the film a positive review, saying an excellent performance from a bulk up Bradley Cooper. This harrowing and intimate character study offers fairly blunt insights into the physical and psychological toll e- exacted on the front lines. David Denby of The New Yorker gave the film a positive review, saying both a devastating war movie and a devastating anti war movie. A subdued celebration of a warrior's skill and a sorrowful lament over his alienation and misery. Keith Phipps of The Dissolve wrote that the film, while well made, missed a chance to explore the toll that such service exacts on soldiers. Chris Nashawati of Entertainment Weekly gave the film a C plus, saying the film just a repetition of context-free combat missions and one-dimensional targets. Elizabeth Weitzman of the New York Daily News gave the film 4 out of 5 stars, saying the best movies are ever shifting, intelligent, and open-hearted enough to expand alongside an audience. American Sniper is built on the foundation of uncommon compassion. Kyle Smith of the New York Post gave the film 4 out of 4 stars, saying, after 40 years of Hollywood counter propaganda telling us war is necessarily corrupting and malign, American Sniper nobly presents the case for the other side. Wow. Peter Travers of the Rolling Stone gave the film 3.5 stars out of 4, saying Bradley Cooper as Navy SEAL Chris Kyle and director Eastwood salute Kyle's patriotism best by not denying its toll. Their targets are clearly in sight and their aim is true. Ign- Ig- Ig- Ignatiev um, Vish Nevetsky of the AV Club gave the film a B, saying American Sniper is imperfect and at times a little corny, but also ambi- ambivalent and complicated in ways that are uniquely Eastwoodian. Way to put it. Way to put that shit though. James Berdinelli of Real Views gave the film 3.5 stars out of 4, saying American Sniper lifts director Clint Eastwood out of the doldrums that have plagued his last few films. Rafa Guzman of Newsday gave the film 3 out of 4 stars, saying Cooper nails the role of an American killing machine in Clint Eastwood's clear-eyed look at the Iraq War. Kenneth Turin of the Los Angeles Times gave the film a positive review, saying Eastwood's impeccably crafted action sequences so catch us up in the chaos of combat. We are almost not aware that we're watching a film at all. Claudia Puig of USA Today gave the film 3 out of 4 stars, saying it's clearly Cooper's show, substantially bulked up and affecting a believable Texas draw. Cooper embodies Kyle's confidence, intensity, and vulnerability. Joshua Rothkopf of Time Out New York gave the film 4 out of 5 stars, saying only Clint Eastwood could make a movie about an Iraq War veteran and infuse it with doubts, mission anxiety, and ruination. Dean Obidala praised the film, saying his focus was not on whom we were fighting, but the unbearably high price Americans pay for waging war against no raging raging war regardless of its target. The film is a cautionary tale for Americans about why we must avoid war. It is not a celebration of waging it. Yes, the film drew some negative reviews. Matt um Matt Tabby in Rolling Stone wrote that the movie turned the complicated moral questions and mass bloodshed of the Iraq War into a black and white fairy tale without presenting the historical context. Alex von Tonzelman of The Guardian argued that the film presented a simplified black and white portrayal of the Iraq War, and that it features the distortion of facts into unreliable myths based upon previous legends. David Machiotra of Salon criticized the movie's focus on physical rather than moral courage as the ultimate manly virtue. Cavalry Scout Sniper Garrett Reppenhagen stated that he did not view Iraqi villains as savages, but as part of a friendly culture for which the movie has furthered ignorance, fear, and bigotry. Inku Kang of The Rap gave the film a negative review, saying director Clint Eastwood's focus on Kyle is so tight that no other character, including wife Taya, played by Sienna Miller, comes through as a person, and the scope so narrow that the film engages only superficially with the many moral issues surrounding the Iraq War. Several other articles have also been critical of the movie. Cares Communications director Abraham Hooper wrote, in quote, I think a lot of the controversy about the movie American Sniper is not about its actual content, but more with the life and the views of the actual sniper who had written a number derogatory things about Islam and Arabs. So that seeps into it beyond even the content of the movie itself. This movie has elicited a wide variety of emotions from a kind of the super patriotism reactions to the reaction that it perpetrates anti-Muslim stereotypes and even violence. So there's a broad range of opinions about the movie, and it's good to have those opinions aired and discussed. Um, okay. Responding to critics, Eastwood said that American Sniper shows um, what does what war does to people left behind, and that presenting the fact of what war does to the family and the people who have to go back into civilian life, like Chris Kyle did, is the biggest anti-war statement any film can make. He stated, "One of my favorite war movies that I've been involved with is Letters from Iwo Jima, and that was about being taken away from life, being sent someplace. In World War II, everybody's just sort of went home and got over it. Now there's some effort to help people through it." He also said, "I was a child growing up during World War II. That was supposed to be one to end all wars. The 4 years later, I was standing at the draft board being drafted during the Korean conflict. And then after that, there was Vietnam, and it goes on and on forever. I just wonder, does this ever stop?" And no, it doesn't. So each time we get in these conflicts, it deserves a lot of thought before we go wading in or wading out. Going in or coming out, it needs a better thought process, I think. Man. Bradley Cooper stated that much of the criticism ignores that the film was about widespread neglect of returning veterans, and that people who take issue with Kyle should redirect their attention to the leaders who put the troops there in the first place. He said, "We looked at hopefully igniting attention about the lack of care that goes to vets. Any discussion that has nothing to do with vets or what we did or did not do for them. Every conservation in those terms is moving further and further from what our soldiers go through, and the fact that 22 veterans commit suicide each day." Cooper said that an increasing number of soldiers are returning from conflict psychologically damaged, only to be more or less discarded. Former First Lady Michelle Obama and former Republican Party vice presidential nominee Sarah Palin also spoke out in support of the movie. Of course, you have Prop Baby. One aspect of the film that received negative comment was its use of a fake baby doll in one scene, which was said to look obviously artificial and that it was a distraction to critics and viewers. In at least one media screening of the film, the audience laughed out loud at how artificial the doll appeared. When discussing the film's prospects for winning an Academy Award, Fandango critic Dave Karger said, "The reason why American Sniper is not going to win is because of the plastic baby." The Telegraph In the Telegraph, journalist Mark Harris said that plastic baby is going to be rationalized by Eastwood tour coders until the end of days. In response, screenwriter Jason Hall replied, "Hate to ruin the fun, but Real Baby number one showed up with a fever. Real Baby number two was no show. Clint voice, give me the dog kid." Damn. Wow. So let's go to the accolades, man. So the accolades goes like this though. So starting with the Academy Awards. So Clint Eastwood, Robert Lawrence, Andrew Lazar, Bradley Cooper, and Peter Morgan all got nominations for Best Picture. Bradley Cooper got nominated for Best Actor. Jason Hall um got a nomination for Best Adapted Screenplay. So did So did Joe Cox and Gary D. Roach. Also got a nomination for Best Film Editing. Alan Robert Murray and Bub Assman also got the award for Best Sound Editing. John T. Wrights, Greg Rudloff, and Walt Martin also got a nomination for Best Sound Mixing. James J. Murakami, Sharice Cardenas also got a nomination for excellence in production design for a contemporary film for Art Directors Guild Awards. And now we go to the Ace Eddie Awards. Joel Cox and Gary D. Roach got a nomination for Best Edited Feature Film Dramatic. The American Film Institute Awards 2014, the film American Sniper won for top 10 films of the year. British Academy Film Awards Best Adapted Screenplay. Jason Hall, Best Sound, also got a nomination by Walt Martin, John Wrights, Greg Rudloff, Alan Robert Murray, and Bud Assman. Cinema Audio Society Awards. Outstanding for the nominations include Walt Martin, Greg Rudloff, John Wrights, Robert Fernandez, Thomas J. O'Connell, James Ashwell for outstanding achievement in sound mixing for a motion picture live action. And the Critics' Choice Award, American Sniper got a nomination for Best Action Movie. Bradley Cooper and American Sniper both won for Best Actor in an Action Movie. The Denver Film Critics Society, American Sniper won that. Clint Eastwood got a nomination for Best Director. Bradley Cooper, along with Ralph Fiennes in the Grand Budapest Hotel, also won for Best Actor. Sienna Miller got a nomination for Best Supporting Actress. Jason, also followed by Jason Hall, got a nomination for Best Adapted Screenplay. Tom Stern nominated for Best Cinematography. Directors Guild of America Award. Clint Eastwood got a nomination for Outstanding Director Feature Film. Empire Awards. Bradley Cooper got a nomination for Best Actor. Iowa Film Critics, American Sniper, tied with A Most Violent Year, basically the best movie yet to open in Iowa. MPSE Golden Reel Awards. Bub Assman and Alan Robert Murray won for feature English language effects / Foley. Now we go to the MTV Movie Awards. American Sniper got a nomination for Movie of the Year. Bradley Cooper won for Best Male Performance. National Board of Review. The American Sniper won for Top 10 Film. Clint Eastwood won for Best Director. Producers Guild. The nomination goes Bradley Cooper, Clint Eastwood, Andrew Lazar, Robert Lorenz, and Peter Morgan for Best Theatrical Motion Picture. Satellite Awards. Jason Hall got a nomination, Best Adapted Screenplay, and of course, Gary Roach and Joel Cox got a nomination for Best Editing. Saturn Awards. American Sniper got a nomination for Best Thriller Film. Writers Guild of America Awards. Jason Hall also got a nomination for the Best Adapted Screenplay. Okay, let's see. Okay, up next, we got to get to the we yeah, we have to get to the video game releases. Let me see how much time we got here. Okay, so let's get into the releases and stuff, and we're gonna get into it right now. Actually, so this is the video game chamber. As we go over the video games, the upcoming games, and the ones that previously came out. So let's get into it right about now. All right. Of course, this is the month of December that we have to go through right now, right? So, because Christmas is around the corner, so I have to really go into we're going to go into some stuff. Let's see. What's today? The 5th, the 19th. Okay, so we're going to get into yes, we're going to get into some stuff actually. So, let's see. So, all right, so the most recent games that's already out right now. Um starting with starting with um what is it? Yeah, starting with yeah, let's start with Crisis Core Final Fantasy 7. Yeah, Final Fantasy 7 Reunion. X- PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch and PC already out right now. Grizz, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series already out right now. High on Life already out. Xbox Series, Xbox One, and PC. Neon Light, no, excuse me, Neon White is out right now for PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4. December 13th is already out right now. Night in the Woods for PlayStation 5 only. Already out right now. And let's see. Potion Craft is out right now for PC. Little Gator Games, Nintendo Switch and PC. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series is already out. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition already out right now for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC. Aka, Nintendo Switch, and PC already out. Blacktail, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series already out right now. River City Girls 2 for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch and PC. Um Resident Evil 7 Biohazard for Nintendo Switch. Coffee Shop Tycoon for PC. Mortal Shell for Nintendo Switch is out today. Potion Craft for Xbox Series, Xbox One is out today. Turnip Boy commits tax evasion. Naraka Blade Point Xbox One in December 22nd of Thursday. Valkyrie Profile Length, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, this Thursday, December 22nd. All right. Um, all right, let me check something real quick. Okay, so I guess I can actually let's see. Okay, there's oh my goodness. I've been so far. Yeah. Yeah, you know what though? Let's see. Okay, I'll do the games that previously came out in tomorrow's episode. But you know what? I'm gonna do the review for Resident Evil 7. So let's get into it right here. All right, so few opening acts scream and reinvention more than Resident Evil 7's. Instead of pumping lead into zombies and creatures born of man-made viruses, the player is isolated and hunted by a deadly apparition. The series has always relied on scientific explanation for its grotesqueries, but with objects moving on their own and ghostly beings flashing in and out of reality. The introductory moments are clearly supernatural, or that's what Capcom wants you to believe. The first taste of this adventure doesn't embody Resident Evil. It feels like a new experience designed to feed off of player senses and fears in a different way, excuse me. The atmosphere is tense, unsettling, overly gory, and makes for a hell of a beginning to a game, especially when you see how it all comes together. The scares are viewed through the eyes of Ethan Winters, a middle-aged everyman summoned to a rundown estate in Dulvey, Louisiana, to search for his missing wife Mia. The invitation comes in the form of a VHS tape showing Mia, who has been missing for 3 years, alive but distressed. The game roars out of the gates with a big emotional hook, as well as a high level of ambiguity as to what's happened in Dulvey. The narrative unravels quickly, however, Ethan fades into the background, doing little to establish a connection to his world. His personality is as transparent as the specters he encounters, and he somehow remains mostly silent in the face of huge life altering events. Capcom may have wanted the player to react to these events instead of Ethan, but he's involved enough in the story that it feels like the big chunks of dialogue and exposition are missing, especially when he verbally reacts to inconsequential things like a wall covered in millipedes, but doesn't say anything when he or people around him are in danger. The story ends up being more voyeuristic and about the people of the state than your protagonist's personal stake in it. Story flows suffers from the lack of Ethan's input. I thought the game glitched out when he didn't react to a huge event in the game's first hour. It turns out he just had nothing to say, no reaction whatsoever. Thankfully, Mia is a powerful force in this tale, and as we get to know her, the world also comes into shape. By the end of the game, Ethan is reduced to little more than a pair of hands holding a gun. Much like any Resident Evil game, the adventure isn't just contained to one location, but the bulk of explanation unfolds in the estate, which belongs to the Baker family. a rowdy mishmash of personalities that range from a hillbilly father and verbally abusive mother to a comatose grandmother and a son who is as deranged as the Joker. Really, really, the Bakers take center stage and are equally important to the story as they are to re-establishing Resident Evil's traditional conventions and lore. None of these characters will likely be remembered as Resident Evil greats, but they are interesting in their own disturbing ways. The threat they pose is greater than their personalities. The powers they wield are also interesting, and they are constant threats. Much like the nemesis from Resident Evil 3, these characters appear over and over again, even when you least expect them. Don't trust walls, they crumble easily in this world. The opening act, while powerful and different, is a smokescreen of sorts that gives away to an experience that draws heavily from the original PlayStation 1 Resident Evil titles. Navigating this state begins with jump scares, but eventually gives way to one locked door after another. The act of opening doors may not sound like much fun, but the exploration and gameplay that leads to the securing of items is rarely mundane and repetitive. I had fun with most environmental navigation, if some of it is ludicrous in design. Um, in classic Resident Evil fashion, the house's architecture doesn't make a lick of sense. The player is forced to hunt down keys, find animal shaped objects to insert into mechanical devices, and scour the environment high and low to find healing items and ammo. You even find yourself thinking long and hard about inventory management every step of the way, questioning when to bring extra firepower, healing items, or that damn crank that somehow makes it into every Resident Evil game. Again, this sounds tedious, but it isn't. It just makes you nervous about your odds and readiness for the next step in the game. Uh, the discovery process is excellently crafted, is as is the house. And the switch to a first person perspective allows Capcom to make finding items more interesting, as an object of interest may be obscured from view at certain angles. Part of the fun of the house is getting to know the Bakers from their possessions and hobbies. The weirdest bit of fiction is Capcom insisting the players should know the Bakers love football, not just from references in the house, but by turning bobblehead football players into one of the game's collectibles. It's always jarring to see a vibrant purple bobblehead toy sitting in a room full of gore. Ghostly events occur periodically in the second act, which is the bulk of the game, but the focus is more on exploration and combat. I won't spoil exactly what you are doing, but a steady hand with a pistol is a necessity, for headshots, as is the wherewithal to know when to bring out more powerful firearms like a shotgun or grenade launcher. The enemies are nicely varied, as are the bosses, which require different strategies and are usually spectacular in appearance. Don't expect every don't expect combat every step of the way. You fire few shots in the game than any other Resident Evil. That shouldn't be taken as a complaint. However, the the gunplay is nicely polished and it fits well into the context of the world. Only one combat based encounter is problematic, mostly because progress isn't clearly communicated. All you know is you have a chainsaw and it cuts flesh. but it doesn't get the job done quickly. This fight led to several game over screens as I searched for solutions. Damn, really though? Capcom fills any lulls in the action with interesting gameplay deviations and scenario designs, such as stealth sequences where you have to find a baker or enemies populating previously explored areas. Oh man. When you are low on ammo, seeing an empty an enemy in an area you thought was safe ups the intensity dramatically. You can tell a lot of thought went into balancing this adventure both to be challenging and fair. Save points are littered liberally throughout the house, and checkpoints are also offered so little progress is ever lost. This is one of those games where progress is always rewarded with new things to see or do, whether that's something small like the discovery of walls coated in mold or a big development like playing as a different character for no stretches of the game. Any concerns I had of Capcom no, excuse me, deviating too far from Resident Evil's universe were wiped out by the time the credits rolled. I love how the ghost story is integrated into the series lore. Yes, this game eventually goes deep with its scientific explanations. It's a slow unveiling of information that sets up the series nicely for future installments. Well, Capcom has successfully reinvented Resident Evil in the past, the most notable deviation being the brilliant Resident Evil 4. This new vision doesn't reach the same heights of spectacle and gameplay innovation as that breakthrough release, but is a welcome addition to the series and a nice entry point for newcomers. Huh. Horror enhanced by VR, which is virtual reality, folks. For those of you who may not know what that acronym stands for. Um, yeah, so that's what it stands for. Um, yeah. So the PlayStation 4 version is equipped with PlayStation VR functionality, allowing players to experience the same game from a more intimate perspective. As much as I enjoy seeing this world up close and personal, um, not to mention aiming through head tracking. The VR integration is riddled with issues. Unless you play the game from a standing position, to manually turn your body, your best option from the sitting position is to use set angles for turning, meaning your character turns 30 degrees each time the analog stick is tapped. It's a clunky way of moving through the world, but it likely won't make you sick. The alternative is to turn on smooth movement, which allows you to turn freely by pressing the right analog stick. This option didn't sit well with me. Every spin made my stomach churn. No variations in rotation speed alleviated the sensation that something wasn't right. Basically, play it standing or don't play it in VR. Now, the concept is began as a radical reinvention for the series with first-person exploration and supernatural themes, but ends up being the same Resident Evil we know and love, with locked doors, headshot heavy combat, and science galore. Graphics beautifully disturbing. Capcom isn't afraid to show off its picturesque environments and intricately detailed characters. The sound, lack of sound, is used brilliantly to up the tension. Any creak or thud puts you on alert. Ethan doesn't say much, but his voice works, and the collective cast is solid. Playability, an excellent mixture of exploration and gunplay. The feeling that every bullet matters is constantly hanging over your head. Um, Entertainment. This game has fascinating secrets to tell and is continually fun to play. Learning how this entry connects to the series is more than enough reason to play, and the replay is moderate. Um, I think that's gonna do it for this episode right here, man. Although we didn't have time to look into the music Kool-Aid segment in terms of the hip hop history, we probably have to do it in a different future episode. Um, so I'm sorry. Yes, so we didn't have time to do the music Kool-Aid segment in terms of the hip hop history because due to all the time we was reviewing movies and stuff, so it took a lot of time out of it. So we're gonna do hip hop history in our next episode. So um and by the way, man, this is going to be our last segment of the night, and this is titled Strange Choices on the Go, man. Let's get into it. Yes, you folks know what to do, man. You like what you heard in today's episode as far as the movies that we just reviewed and other variations of music artists such as singers and rappers, TV shows, the video games and the gameplay and all that other stuff whatsoever, including sometimes podcasts, of course. Of course, you can show some love by following meticulously. Excuse me. You can follow the show by showing some love by following Meticulous Vibe Juice Podcast, the review show, alongside with my sports podcast, which is Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks Podcast. As you can see, I put TLKS, that stands for Talks. So, you can also follow my other show, my number one show with 219 episodes already, which is going to be Off the Meat Rack Chains New York podcast, alongside with my primary handle on the gram, which is G Money Stacks 555 in Queens, New York. And you can go to the link in bio where it says Linktree / Meticulous Vibe Juice Podcast. That way you can leave a voice message on anchor.fm / Meticulous Vibe Juice Pod / message. All right. And speaking of that, speaking of Anchor, that's what we're going to start with. So, starting with Anchor, we're on Anchor, Audible, Audacity, Amazon Music, Breaker, Castbox FM, Deezer, Listen Notes, Moon FM Podcast, Player FM, Pocket Cast, Podfriend, Podopolo, Podorama, Podcast Index, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Podverse, Reason FM, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Google Podcasts, and of course, make sure you listen to the episodes of Meticulous Vibe Juice Podcast on Radio Public alongside with iHeartRadio, the number one app for music, radio, and podcast. And you definitely don't need a credit card or a debit card to download these apps. It is free at your local app store, whether you are an iPhone user or a Android user. So you can download these apps, including iHeartRadio, to your iPhones, your Android phones, iPads, your Android tablets, and of course you can even download it to your laptops as well. And of course, be sure to follow this podcast right here, Meticulous Vibe Juice Podcast Review Show, alongside with the Sports Edition show of Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks Podcast and Off the Meat Rack Chains New York Podcast on iHeartRadio as well. And plus, Make sure you grab that subscribe button on the YouTube channel page of Meticulous Vibe Juice Podcast. Click on the naughty bell so you can be reminded when the show goes in the air via live stream, including the times of the recording. As a reminder, set your reminders of when the episode's going to be recording. And of course, be sure to leave a like and a comment along with the episodes and the review topics. Be sure to stay tuned for more video content, upcoming episodes, and previous episodes. And make sure you download these episodes, listen and stream, and watch these episodes in case you miss any of them. Be sure to share the episodes, share the videos, and of course, be sure to tell a friend to another friend. Spread the word. Word of mouth is important. Alongside with share the podcast along with the link that says Linktree/Meticulous Vibe Juice Podcast with your husbands, your wives, your boyfriends, girlfriends, your friends, the people you're cool with, and the people you met for the first time at an event, festivities, parties, wherever. All right. And that's going to do it for me. I'm your man, G Money Stacks, aka the Gregonator. No, and some people know me as Greg, of course. Thank you very much for listening to this and rocking with this episode 103 titled Military Time. And of course, like I always say at the end of the show, be sure to know that the grind doesn't stop. Trust the process. Don't rush the process. And also remember that if you want something, you have to work hard and earn it. New York wasn't built in a day, and you want to make sure you follow your goals and dreams, find your voice, be confident in what you do creatively, and also be sure to be able to find something, look for something that clicks to you, creatively, mentally, physically, and spiritually, alongside with tunnel vision that gets you into your zone, alongside with your creative juices flowing. All right. I'm out of here. Thank you very much for listening and watching. G Money Stacks is clocking out for the night. I'll see y'all next time. Stay tuned. Stay tuned next time where we review the Cars franchise alongside with the video game. All right, I'm out of here. Peace and one love. Take care of one another and do some mental health check-ins with people that you are friends with whatsoever, because you never know what they might be going through. And yes, and I did do a PSA on episode 44 of my other platform, which is Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks podcast, where I had to address the whole cyberbullying situation that I've been through and all that other stuff whatsoever. So please be sure to check in with your friends, see how they're doing on the inside, not a matter of what's on the outside. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, mental health matters, and it is important to actually look out for one another to see how they are feeling. You know what I'm saying? Remember that. Peace and one love, and enjoy yourselves with your friends. Be careful out there, and have yourselves a good night, folks. Yeah. Jesus, out of here.